all my life I've been tagged as an overachiever. Get top grades in school, get the best job out of college, build my own startups and then quit my job, and of course, marry the most talented woman in the world. Also, get really good at lying to your wife.
You take that back.
On the quest to overachievement, I've studied other successful overachievers to find different money habits that really transform their lives. And so today, we're diving into 7 unconventional money habits specifically tailored for overachievers. As someone who loves maximizing efficiency and wanting to do more with my life, I've been following these for a while now and they've completely changed my life. And I'm certain they're going to help you too. But first, let's talk about why these habits work. As someone who wants to better optimize their lives, our most valuable resource isn't money, it's actually time.
It's time.
I've said this time and again on this channel, no pun intended, that we can always earn more money, but we can't get back lost time. And although we are primarily talking about money habits, optimizing how we use our time can help us achieve more and ultimately reach our money goals faster. With that in mind, let's jump right in.
Parkour.
First up, let's talk about food. And how I love it, but I don't spend any time cooking it though. You see, I come from a family that absolutely loves food. It's a big part of our culture and daily life. But here's the twist. I don't cook anymore.
Wait, what?
Instead, I get ready to eat fresh meals every week. This was a common trait among most overachievers because it's an easy way to get healthy, delicious meals that save you a ton of time and effort. The amount of time that it takes for us to plan, shop, prep, cook, clean up, wash the dishes is ridiculous for something that we finish eating in like 10 minutes tops. And not to mention food wastage being another important factor. And since time is one of our most valuable resources, like I mentioned earlier, these services let us enjoy high quality, nutritious meals without the hassle of everything I just mentioned.
Like clockwork.
We did try meal prepping for a while, but we found the monotony to be really underwhelming. And like I said, food's a big part of my life, and so there's no settling here. And so this keeps our meals exciting and varied, making us look forward to each meal. While this might not seem economical, especially for those number crunchers or calculating how much their groceries cost versus doing something like this, the part that's ignored is the time that it takes for you to cook your meals. This isn't an easy mindset to adapt, but if you can use your time wisely to make you more money in the time that it takes for you to cook your meals, then the trade-off is completely worth it. My wife and I have gone into the details and numbers of how much we spend on this in our couple's expenses breakdown. I'll leave a link to this at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Talking about the previous video, another thing we spoke about there is not owning a car, which in my eyes is one of the biggest liabilities ever. You see, we live in downtown and pay what some might call exorbitant rents, but it's all part of a bigger strategy. Living in downtown puts us right in the heart of the action. We're close to work, entertainment, dining, and everything else the city has to offer. This saves us a tremendous amount of time and enhances our quality of life. And instead of dealing with the expenses and hassles of car ownership, we use public transport and Uber or Lyft for getting around. And not to mention the costs associated with parking, insurance, servicing the car, etc. This all just saves us a ton of time and money. So apart from it being cost effective, it's also super convenient for our lifestyle. We go into the details of this in our video titled How We Live Our Rich Life. I'll leave a link to the video too at the end of this video. Stick around. Although I live in Canada, I don't invest in the Canadian market anymore. Why? Well, we'll get to that in just a bit. But first, what's common among all these people? They all wear the same thing almost every day. And this is something that I've been doing the last 3 to 4 years or so and has completely changed my life. And so now I wear the same t-shirt every day, or at least most days.
You're wearing the same shirt.
I mean, not literally the same one, but I have like 7 of the same t-shirts and I wear them every day. Be it work, hanging out with my friends, date with my wife, walk outside, whatever. This might seem odd, but it simplifies my days and minimizes decision fatigue.
Puma shirt, Panther shirt. Puma shirt, Panther shirt.
Before I adopted this, there have been many days where I used to think twice about what do I need to wear that particular day. Also, did I wear the same shirt last week or did I wear a similar color yesterday?
Same clothes as yesterday.
I'm sure you know that feeling. But I realized that I don't really care too much about what I was wearing provided I was presentable and didn't look out of place. So I decided to settle on a t-shirt in a colorway that fits most, if not all occasions. And this black one is the one I settled on. Earlier, a couple of years ago, it was a different t-shirt and I wore that t-shirt for all of my podcast episodes, my videos and interviews too. Check it out when you get the time. I'll leave a link to a show in the description. And so I buy the same t-shirt that lasts me for a year or two and then I buy more of the same once they wear out or I move on to another design.
Yeah, I just ordered the exact same thing. Seemed like less effort.
You bought the same thing all over again?
Good day, sir.
I'm now considering moving on to polos to be my daily driver. If you have recommendations of good polo t-shirts, then let me know down in the comment section below. I could really use your help. This habit has not only saved me a ton of money, but also helped me drastically reduce the number of trivial decisions I have to make every single day, where I can instead focus my energy on more important tasks. A small change that makes a huge difference in my productivity and mental clarity. Speaking of making smart choices, let's jump into why spending more can actually save you even more money in the long run. It's all about buying the best and keeping it for the longest time. This applies to most things I buy, from my TV and iPhone to my laptop, jackets, shoes, and even my t-shirts. Yeah, so the t-shirt I was talking about is something that feels premium and has lasted me a long time, only because I was able to spend more on it in the first place. When you invest in high quality items, they last longer and help you save so much more money in the long run. For instance, I bought a top of the line TV more than a year ago, and although it was one of the biggest expenses my wife and I have ever spent on, it was one of the best decisions we ever made, especially considering how much content we both watch. And funnily enough, the TV now retails for more than the amount we bought this for.
How is that even possible?
I have no idea how the price went up by 20% over 18 months. Maybe this TV is an asset after all. Okay, all jokes aside, it's all about making smart purchases that help in the long term rather than constantly replacing cheaper, lower quality items. Since we're talking about long term, real estate is one of the best long-term investments you can make. But I'm not planning to buy a house anytime soon.
Why not? What's the big problem?
Because I personally think there are better investment opportunities out there. And so before we get into why buying a house could be a mistake, let's talk about investments first. And this one's a surprising one. Although I live here in Canada, I used to invest in the Canadian economy heavily, but I've reduced that drastically and instead shifted my focus primarily to the US instead. Although I've been investing in the US even before moving here, I decided to explore the Canadian markets and see if I can make some good returns after I landed here. This is what you call home bias with investing, where most people tend to invest in the place that they live in, which is a fallacy to be honest. And I was definitely a victim of that. I brought this up in a previous video too, but here's Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, explaining it in the best way possible.
There's this well-documented home bias with investors where, by and large, people who live in America only own US stocks, and people who live in Germany only own German stocks, and Japan, so on. People own the stocks that are closest to where they live, which is not rational at all. It's not rational to think like the best stocks are the ones that are closest to your house. That's crazy.
I studied the Canadian and the US markets and also put my own money into both to see how they fared. And by a long shot, the US market offered far more lucrative opportunities and returns. And so I've decided to fundamentally change the way I invest, where I'll very minimally invest in the Canadian market. This is something I would also recommend you, a responsible investor, to do some thinking around and ensure you don't fall prey to the home bias. And since we're talking about diversifying here, I've also been investing on a global scale too, which has given me good exposure and great returns. And one of those global exposures I have is the Indian market. I personally believe in the Indian economy, where its growth potential is enormous, with a rapidly expanding middle class and a thriving tech sector. Born and raised there, I've experienced this firsthand for myself, and so investing heavily in the Indian economy is not just an obvious move for me, but also a strategic one.
I was never in this for the money, but it turns out that the money was an absolute necessity for me.
By tapping into that market, I'm seeing impressive returns that would be hard to achieve in many other markets. And diversifying my investments globally helps reduce risks, and this directly aligns with my financial goals, allowing me to profit off of emerging companies and markets. One fundamental rule to investing is that you need to diversify your portfolio. And I would recommend the same to you as an overachieving investor, to diversify your investments on a global scale. While this would require you some more time to analyze and understand the different markets, the payoff is super worth it. Speaking of investments, we're not planning to buy a house to live in anytime soon. Renting gives us flexibility and frees up liquidity that we can invest elsewhere. And this liquidity is something I smartly use to invest in other assets globally, like I mentioned before. Also, owning a home can tie you down and often comes with hidden costs and maintenance hassles.
Oh, okay. Is that supposed to come off?
Hey, look, cool. Carpenter ants.
And not to mention the amount of money you need for the down payment, and it being one of the biggest purchases you'll probably make in your lifetime. By renting, we maintain our mobility and not have a burden of a huge amount looming over our heads, where every single penny we have after expenses goes into the house that isn't technically ours. It's the bank's up until you're paid off your loan or mortgage. Not a lot of people think that way. Also, fixing up issues in the house and maintaining it is another hassle that isn't something I want to do right now. For instance, one fine morning we found one of the glasses in our balcony cracked. No idea how, when, force of nature, whatever. I have no idea how it happened. But since we're renting, it's not our responsibility to fix this up. It's the homeowner's headache. And let's not even get into the emotional attachment and ramifications of buying and owning your own home. Anyway, I'll have dedicated videos out on this topic soon because this one's a hot topic for sure. I see this happening time and again where people are excited about buying a house without really thinking through the numbers and repercussions. So if that's something you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments below, and also subscribe so that you don't miss it when the video drops. So there you have it, folks. From leveraging meal services and living downtown to making smart investments and simplifying my wardrobe, these habits have helped me maximize efficiency and enjoy the best life has to offer. If you found this video helpful, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I'd love to hear from you fellow overachievers about your own experiences and tips in the comment section below. As promised, here are the videos I mentioned earlier in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you, well, probably here or here, whichever.